Good morning, everybody. Good morning, kings and queens. Sorry about that. We had a little technical difficulties, but I think we're good to go. Max, let me get a thumbs
We
up.
good, we
No
good, we
feedback.
live, we good, we back.
All right, there we go.
We live on YouTube, live for those people who can't be on their phone at the same time. Just turn on the app, turn on your smart TV, your laptops. Motivation Monday live. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. What's going on, my brother V?
Good
Morning,
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 morning, V. Good
morning.
morning, everybody, as well. So do us a favor too. Send this live out as well too. Like Max just told everybody, we're also on the YouTube live as well too. So if you can join us on that platform as we get everything going. And then when we're done, we'll have these on the streaming platforms. Um, Good morning, ladies. Our queens are coming in heavy. I guess we'll start again. It's Monday, a new day, new week to get things going, to have a better week than last week, to have a better day than yesterday. We always talk about as long as you're 1% better than you were the day before, that's all that matters. So before we had this technical difficulty, we were talking about commitment and consistency, but we'll get right back into it as a fresh start. So once again, welcome everybody to Motivation Mondays, week 79. MC Ebone, and of course, he's Max the speaker. Our topics of the week this week are the most committed wins, the power of realization, and do your best today. So, Max, we'll get back onto commitment. What does commitment mean to you? And then we'll break it down in other aspects.
Commitment is staying true to what you say you're gonna do, right? Commitment is no matter how hard it is, right? You're gonna stick to what it is that you say you're gonna do. Commitment is looking through the end, regardless of how difficult it gets in between. That's what I think commitment means.
Now, when it comes to commitment, what is the harsh reality? Like, people don't realize. I feel like the phrase where we talk about the most committed wins, it's a short and simple phrase, but there's a lot of meaning towards it.
It comes with dedication. It comes with discipline. It comes with sacrifice. It comes with delayed gratification. Delayed gratification. Because the reason why most people quit because they get started on something they do not get the results that they're expecting right away. It gets a bit harder, and then they find every reason possible to give up on that process or the journey that they began with. That's why I always say, famous quote from Inky Johnson: "Commitment is staying true to what you say you're gonna do long after the feeling has left." And what he means by that is, at the beginning of something, you optimistic. At the beginning of the semester, you be aiming to get an A. At the beginning of your career in a job field, you want to get to the top. At the beginning of your business, you want to do 1,000 sales in a week. But the first week come along and it's not going according to plan. Do you stay true to what it is that you say you're gonna do, or do you quit and find any possible excuse or reason not to stay committed to what it is that you say you're gonna do? It's an agreement. It's a deal between you and yourself when we talk about commitment.
And you mentioned delayed gratification. Now, I think sometimes when it comes to like the commitment part, people realize that patience plays a big factor in it, because you don't know when it's gonna hit for you tomorrow or next week or a month or maybe a year, 2 years. But the long game is staying committed, and as long as you stay committed, results will come along the way.
Well, yeah, that's what we talk about: delayed gratification, being able to postpone what it is that you thought you're gonna get right away. That's the actually one of the key hidden uh, key to success. Because often we do not have much, we don't come in the world with much. Believe it or not, and I also said this: 88% of all millionaires are self-made, meaning they acquired that million themselves. So when it comes to delayed gratification, this is anybody that ever heard of the marshmallow test. It was a study done in Stanford, where they're just seeing those who are able to postpone what their gratification, what it is that they want out of being disciplined, and they later went to go find out those people who was willing. So basically, I'll just go ahead and explain it, just in case nobody know what I'm talking about. So they took a bunch of children, and they told them that you can have your marshmallow now, you can have two marshmallows later. And the children that chose to take their marshmallows later, who have shown early early keys of delayed gratification, they went on to be much more successful in life in anything that could be measured. So that's what it means by commitment when we relate it to delayed gratification, not wanting your results right away. Is you understand the journey, you understand the process, that it's going to take a while for you to get what it is that you're looking for, and actually comes in abundance when you do have that patience to wait.
Hmm. Great point. Now, is there any way that we can get caught up in what we feel like is commitment to what real commitment actually is.
Well, we mentioned this multiple times on the platform when we talk about confusing movement with achievements, just not committing our very or not giving our very best. Meaning, when we do things part time, we still feel like we're committed to something. I did. It's not so much of I did it, but what did you get out of it, right? You could talk about you doing your very best, maybe just doing 10% in a day, committing yourself to something, but that's how we confuse ourselves, right? Some people say, I went to the gym. Yeah, you went to the gym. What did you do at the gym? There's a big difference between going to the gym and actually working out at the gym. It's easy to say, this is my fifth day at the gym. I've been going 5 days in a row. But if you went in there and you did the videos and the snaps and didn't push yourself to your capability, capabilities and limit, then there was no point of you going to the gym. So we can't
Pushing it to the
confuse,
max.
we can't confuse ourselves with what we mean by commitment.
And one thing that I love also is like when you start to stay committed to something, the people around you, like for instance, I'll use an example. Like yesterday, we went to the studio early, which is something that we don't do. But when the artist who I'm working with asked me like what time we should go to the studio, I'm like, yo, it can't be night because I'm on Pacific time right now. So like I have to do Motivation Mondays, but it's not 10:30 Eastern time. It's 7:30. So I'm like, yo, I don't want to be up all night. And I didn't know how he was gonna react to it. But he was like, "Oh yeah, Motivation Monday is cool. Like, let's go earlier." And that kind of shocked me. And it was just like, "Wow!" Like, he's like, "Yo, I see what you're doing. You're staying consistent. Like, we can actually do a more earlier studio session." And for a lot of artists who know, if you're in the music game, artists hate going to studios in the afternoon. They feel like they don't get the vibe. But then I realized, I'm like, when you really stay committed to something, and people on the outside who are around you start to see, then everything will adapt to it. Like they'll be willing to do certain changes and make certain drastic moves if they have to, just to make sure everybody is aligned with what the main purpose and goal is.
Well, that's the
So I,
thing.
I think
As far as achieving anything in life, we're always worried about getting the approval from others people, especially our family members or our loved ones. But like I always say, when you're doing something that works out best for you, your loved ones will meet you there. By what I mean, they'll start supporting you in what it is that you're doing, right? We often want to look at, I don't get support and I want this person there and this, that. You gotta believe in it before they believe in it, right? It's very difficult for people to see things through, right? It's your vision. You can't get people when it's your dream doesn't it's not defined by who else is with you, right? So you got to understand that when you have a dream, when you're committed to something, whether it's something that you want for yourself, you got to step into that light before the people could join you in that light. We're often finding difficulty trying to drag people ourselves in that light. I'm pretty sure y'all heard the phrase, it's difficult for two or three people to go through the door at the same time, right? But if you walk through that door and you're in that room and you tell people this is the room that you're in, like all your loved ones will come and see you in that room. So when it comes to commitment, like you talking about yourself, staying true to something, and those people seeing what it is that you're doing, they weren't gonna shun you out. They believe in what it is that you're doing, and they agree to see you there. Believe in what it is that you believe in, making you get that time frame that you need so you could come on the podcast this morning.
so. Another thing, like as much as we're talking about, not caring what other people say and think, there's some people who haven't got out of that bubble because of the way life has affected them or the way how life has been towards them. They need approval from others, whether they know it or not. Like there's some people who are just like, I know some people who they go crazy when it comes to just posting something on Instagram. They want to make sure it's this right, the captions right. Like it's just something that's in them. So you may think that you don't care what other people say, but your actions are showing different.
Yeah. Well, as humans, I might say we are social creatures, meaning we need each other. We need to socialize to able to advance in life. But in essence, as far as needing each other's approval, I don't think that's something that ever mattered. And in a time like this, people often get it confused. If you're anything about posting content, anything wise, the best thing that you could do for yourself is show vulnerability. Is show that you're human, right? It's the best thing. Like we've been having difficulties with our YouTube live for the past 3 weeks. It happens, right? It lets you know that it's possible. So people that are often waiting for the perfect moment, the right time to take action is never gonna happen. So the best thing in moments like this, when you're having difficult to do something because you think people may judge you, is be yourself because nobody's perfect. I'm gonna say this again, nobody's perfect. Right? Nobody's perfect. You guys have witnessed it, right? That's why I say document. There's more people like you than you think, right? The people that you think everything is perfect, they wake up, uh, haircut clean, makeup clean, and everything they touch is gold. It's not like that, right? It's not like that. Eventually, you could get to perfection, but you'll never get there because perfect, it shouldn't be a word, but you get closer to where it is that you want to be, but you got to get started. And if you're worried about how things look and how things are going to be perceived as seen, then you're never going to get started.
So in that case, if that is your mindset, you have you technically already lost the battle when it comes to trying to achieve your dreams and stuff. Because I know to the people who achieve dreams and are successful, they always tell you like one of the top rules is not caring what other people think.
Well, we have the internal battles with ourselves already, being difficult as it is, right? Committing to our goals and the things that we want. But then we add the exterior battle, right? Not only what do we think of ourselves, but what do other people think? That becomes a much more difficult thing to do, right? Become a much more difficult thing to do. So, of course, we make it harder on ourselves by constantly waiting for the approval from others or seeing how other people judge us.
So one thing when it comes to what we're doing, I know you mentioned it a little bit, but can you get caught up in what you think you're committed to, like, or what are the signs? Because some people can think they're committed to something, but not really giving them the all. But because they're committed to it, they think they're doing the right thing. Like, how do we get ourselves when you talked about like when you're in the gym pushing yourself basically to the max? How do we get to push our max when it comes to what we're committed to? Are there certain like daily things or habits or rituals or routines we should be looking to do as humans?
Well, keep track, right? Document, right? Don't just track your good days, track your bad days, right? Just know where you started and where it is that you're going, and like pushing yourself is like each day is progress. Are you better than where you were last month? Are you better than where you were last week? There got to be some type of progression, right? If you're constantly doing the exact same thing, right, getting the same result, you might have to recalculate. There's something that you're doing wrong. It's impossible to work on yourself and not progress. There's no way you could do something over and over and not get better, right? So that's what I mean by document. That's what I mean by track. It's easy to see if working out at the gym is paying off. Are you lifting more? So people will look at it as the physical nature. Have I lost weight? Do I look different? Those things are usually difficult to tell because there's other things that play a role into it, such as water weight, changing the day, what it is that you had before. But as far as you even lifting better, yeah, you lifting more, right? These cues will be able to guide you, engage you to a better place to actually let you know that you're working towards something, right? Your business. If you're constantly working on your business, say you're committed to it. Is your sales progressing, right? How are you tracking things? Are you getting better at it? It's even if you're not making more money, is it cost effective? Are you saving money from what it is that you're doing last month? It's different. I can't hear you through the mic, brother.
Nice. Now, there's one thing that you mentioned when it comes to track small wins and big wins. On our side, that the thing is frozen a little bit. Hear me?
Yep, I can hear you now.
All right, perfect. I was saying there was one thing I wanted to talk about from what you talked about. When it comes to our small wins and our big wins, right? I feel like as you're more committed to something, as you get more better at something, and you become more successful, you tend to only want to worry about the bigger wins, and then you'll more only think about the big wins and forget about your small wins. But how important is like going through that your journey, and even though you're trying to achieve the highest things, whether it's the biggest goals, whatever it is to you, to kind of remember of where you started and where you're going to get to where you're going to get to.
The snowball effect, right? You gotta celebrate your smile. You gotta appreciate the little things, so you could eventually build up the courage to, or build up the momentum to start appreciating the bigger things in life. It's the same thing when we deal with battles. Handle the small battles so you can handle the big battles, right? It's called acquiring habits, acquiring new skills to further push you to where it is that you want to be.
Now, in your case, let me ask you: is there anybody who you studied that, like, when it came to the way they were committed to something, it inspired you or motivated you to get on the path that you're on?
I can't put my hand on somebody who inspired me, but I just constantly ran across that word commitment, that staying true towards something, and it wasn't, to be real, it was not until I was able to start producing results then I started believing in all the aspects of my life, right? Over time, some things that I really didn't believe it will happen for me, I kind of like neglect it. And like I said, it wasn't until I started seeing results and being committed into doing something that I realized I could attribute this to all the aspects of my life.
Now, can you remember one result in terms of when you started in the motivational speaking, whether it was like a gig or your first booking, where like when you achieved it and got whatever it came with, whether it was like the joy from the people you were speaking to or the financial aspect of actually realizing that like you could get paid for this. Can you remember those times and see how it helps you get to where you are right now in terms of some of the things you do, whether it's the gems of the week, whether it's your daily motivational quotes?
It's been so long, I kind of forgot it. But like the daily quotes, I think I've been going for almost 2 years with the quotes. The gems, we stopped with the pandemic and we had the live on Mondays, so I made excuse for myself. Like humans, nobody's perfect. Now we're back with the gem. Check out the weekly gem. Last night I dropped it every Sunday evening. Weekly gem is up, but it was multitude of things. It wasn't until I realized the people that were on the platform that I was performing on was reaching out to me saying, "I see what you're doing." I walked in a barber shop and the barber in there say, "I see what you're doing." I'm like, "You're not a Niger." He's like, "People are listening. Speak the word." So when I started to see that what I was using to measure what it is that I'm going for, it's not even possible for me. I wasn't calculating all the numbers in front of me. So it was a few things like that kept me going. And with that, I said, hey, I got to hit on all of the aspects. I got to jump on our platform. It took me a while to jump on IG and start with the
Nice.
weekly
Now,
gems and things like that.
nice. There's a quote I wanna bring up here. I know you're a big fan of Nipsey Hussle, so there's a quote that he says that goes, "Great decisions come from experience, and experience comes from bad decisions." So when you hear that quote, how does that like resonate to you?
It's never a loss. It's never a mistake. It's a lesson, right? Only through experience can we learn from our past. That's what I think about that. And it's like I just said, most of the time I'm not perfect. I'm no different from none of you guys. Uh, I probably have more skeletons in my closet than most of you, but but it's the experience that's able for me to speak, right? I haven't this now. I'm on the journey of getting this education. Most of you guys probably know I'm in school. I finished college. Now I'm also in university. But most of this I speak from experience, what I've experienced, what I lived. Right, that's what it was about. A lot of it was mistakes, i.e., being arrested multiple times, i.e., being kicked out of 7 schools. All right, so I speak from a real place of going from a dark place to a better place. Right, that I know that it's possible. Right, where I came from, my background, coming from West Africa, Ghana, all the way here, culture shock, adjusting to how society is here and whatnot. So it's all these things. So when you mentioned that Nipsey thing about it's through the past, it's not a loss, it's an experience that's making us gain wisdom. I could very much relate to that, and I will prove that. I stand by that message.
Dope. And I know something, when people are committed to something and they're on a journey, they want kind of things to be perfect. I know there's no such thing as perfect, but like they want it to be as perfect as it could be. And there's this quote that I want to read to you, and then we'll break it down. It goes, "The grasses don't stop growing because they fear wildfires or the stomping of wild cows or animals. If it comes, it comes. You can't hold your breath wondering, what if I fail from the edge? What if it doesn't work for me tomorrow? What if you never see the view? Which question do you want to haunt you?" And the reason why I wanted to bring this quote up right now is because the fear. Like I feel like some people are scared to make that commitment to something else because they're using like security. Whether it comes from like there's so many security. Whether it comes from like paycheck to paycheck, or like you're just used to something going that way. What advice would we have to give them? Because we gotta understand that in life, fear is gonna play a role in everybody's life. It can come in different aspects. It can come from different words. But like, what advice can we give to those people who have fear of the other side?
Well, I think I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna add on to this. People often quit because life makes them forget why they got started. Right? You know what life is? Life is what comes along after you made your daily plan. Right? That's what life is. Life is what comes after you made your daily plan. That's what's in between. Right? So, what I gotta say about that is, like I just said, your why. Right? It's so important. Your why has to pull you. Right? Life is gonna happen. It happens to all of us, right? You get a bad deck of cards. Some cards are worse than most, and we get into depression season. We could speak about that next week, but it gets to a time where people feel down on themselves, where they feel like it's not possible, and and they may look at it as just the end and things never panned out. Those are just habitual thinking. Life in itself, when the battles do comes, it is quite hard, but they're also adversity, right? People who've been through things are more equipped to deal with situations, right? Go through things, learn from it, right? Gather the experience, right? Learn how to fail, right? Like get in trouble for something, right? If you've never been down, if you've never been through a heartbreak, it's good to go through one. I'm not saying go look for it, but I understand this is what we mean by experience, right? So that it's much easier than what it is. It's not so much of a shock if you never witnessed it or seen it before.
Nice, nice, nice. And you know, I want to encourage everybody, like what you said, that we'll talk more about depression later on. But you know, sometimes in life, we everybody's going through something. You have no idea what people are going through, and people are still making things happen. They're not letting that be an excuse to getting the things that they need to do or getting what needs to get done. So, you know, I encourage anybody, if you are feeling down or if you are feeling away, don't worry, man. Today you're alive. That's the biggest blessing. Sometimes we forget that the biggest blessing in life is just being alive, waking up. I forgot because right now it's 8:21. So right now that means it's what time out there?
Oh,
It's
11:21. We lost the gym of the week because our boys out in the West Coast. We're 10 minutes late, but hey, good news is good at any time. Let's hear it with
all right. So our affirmation for the day. Let me bring it up. Shout out to our brother Dookie Dukes as well too. All right. Let me just grab this up. So, our affirmation today to what I say I'm going to do. I will no longer make excuses to make sure whatever needs to get done in life will get done. I will hold myself accountable to all my actions and act accordingly. So, once again, I'll repeat that again. Today, I will stay committed to what I say I'm going to do. I will no longer make excuses to what needs to get done, and I will do the right things to get going in my life. So let's break that down for our people today.
let me hear the quote one more time, brother.
Say that again.
Let me hear the quote one more time.
Today, I will stay committed to everything I say I'm going to do. I will no longer make excuses to the necessities, things that need to get done in my life.
So no excuses. That's what we talk about. No excuses. Staying commitment is staying true to what it is. You're gonna you're gonna take action to do what it is that you say you're gonna do. Right? You made a promise to yourself. You made a deal. We hold people to a higher standard, right? We ask people to commit to us, right? We get mad at people when they say they're gonna show up and they don't show up, right? But we're not mad at ourselves when we say we're gonna show up and we don't show up, right? You said you were gonna go to the gym today. You say you're gonna start eating healthy. You say you're gonna start that business. You say you're gonna register your business. You say you're gonna take that course. You say you're gonna register for school. These are all deals that you made to yourself. So it's up to you to honor that deal, right? Nobody owes it to you. But like I said, you guys heard me say it before, we tend to hold people at a higher standard than we do. When people don't show up for us, when people make promises and they don't come through, we're mad at them. In most cases, we never speak to them again. I ask you to hold yourself accountable. Treat yourself more important than what anybody else should treat you. Exact way you look for others to come through for you, you should look at yourself. If you ever disappointed yourself, ladies and gentlemen, don't be mad when somebody disappoint you, right? Because I guarantee you, nobody has ever disappointed you more than you have disappointed yourself.
Whew. Can you repeat that again? That's a serious bar right
But
there.
I'm just saying, don't. If anybody has disappointed you, right, you gotta hold yourself and them to the same standard that you hold them to. Because I guarantee you have nobody have disappointed you more than you have disappointed yourself. Nobody have made promises and not come through for you more than you have said to yourself.
Whew. And I feel like we've talked about it before in previous episodes, but sometimes people feel like when they're done, when something bad is done to them, they gotta do bad as well too. And there's this one quote that always talks about like not doing them how they did you is what's keeping your blessing coming. Like not worrying about how somebody dealt you, just realizing and analyzing like how did I allow that to even happen in the first place, and learning from that and then moving accordingly and hoping you turn that into a lesson so it doesn't happen again. So I love what you just said. And is there any last words you want to share when it comes to the most committed wins?
When it comes to the most committed wins, like, we all know people are much talented than others. We all know people who are born with gifts, right? But eventually see the hard work that gets put behind it, the day in, the day out. The most committed win is, are you willing to die for what it is that you want, literally, right? How long are you willing to hold your breath, right? Underwater, like, you gotta want it bad, right? Because if you just want it quick and fast and easy, I guarantee you quit when life comes along and hits you in the face, right? So the committed wins. Like, we all know it. Like, we all know some of the best athletes, right? In high school, we all know some of the best athletes who don't end up going pro because they weren't committed. They feel like they've been born with a gift. It's a gift and a curse, right? It makes them confuse what's the meaning of life, right? So I ask you, if whatever it is that you're doing, whatever it is that you want for yourself, be committed. Stay true to that feeling. The feeling that you said it in. If you were depressed, if it was after a heartbreak, it's only through downtime we're able to see the light, right? So if you made a deal with yourself, if you signed a contract with yourself that you want something, the only way you're gonna win is see yourself through that. Finish that contract with yourself. That's the only way you're gonna be able to see yourself winning.
Cool. And our quote that we love is you versus you. So that is very powerful words. And once everybody starts to understand that everything that's whether it's being affected, or it's affecting you, or it's helping you, it starts with you. And that's why we talk about making the uncool cool while realizing it's you versus you. And the affirmations that are reminded. Like what I love most about the affirmations, it always starts with I. It's letting you know that this is something from you, from me. This is starting with me. So once you say those things, and it's going to lead right into our next topic, which is the power of realization. Because and I love this topic so much, the power of realization, because we don't realize how many things can affect or help us go in the positive outward of life, or to our goals, or to achieve anything that we want in life. So I wanna mention, before we go dig deep, I want to mention some things, because you know once you realize the power of your tongue, you won't just say anything. So I want to talk about that aspect of life, of realizing the power of your tongue, and where you won't say anything. Do you feel like sometimes in life people, it takes them to understand, like for instance, let's say somebody keeps reminding themselves that I hate Mondays, or I'm having a bad day. How do they then realize that what they're saying, or what they're putting out to the universe, is actually affecting them? Because the reason why people say these things is because they don't really realize that
You froze up there for a sec, brother.
it could affect them, or it could affect how they that habit. Am I back? Am I good?
Yeah, you're good. I missed the last part.
Should I start over from the quote that I said with realization?
Yes.
Well, let me repeat that. What I was basically saying is, we don't realize sometimes that some of these things that we say or that we do. And I wanna bring up this quote. Let me just bring it up real quick right here. It says the power of realization. We don't realize. Sorry, I need some water. We don't realize the power of our tongue. If we realize the power of our tongue, we won't just say anything. And what I was saying was like, sometimes people, for instance, some people always come in life and say they hate Mondays. Like when Monday hits and they're having a bad day, they don't realize that that could actually affect the day to go even worse, or be worse than what it is. So like, how do we understand or break down the concept of realizing the power of our tongue, where we
Well,
won't just say anything?
well, watch your words. If it's coming out of the tongue, it started in the mind, and your mind is the central, the computer
Ooh.
system of your whole body. So watch your words. Watch what you say to yourself. Watch what you even think, right? But saying it puts in a whole different dimension. You start to actually believe it. If it went through the mouth, if it went through the brain, the mind, and come out of your mouth, you have now commanded your whole body to act as such. right? Have a different perspective towards Mondays, right? Don't just live through life screaming TGIF, right? If your life is just made out of you only seeing Fridays, then what is there to live? There's 6 other days, right? You could do the calculation in a year, right? 1 out of 7. If for the year, I'm terrible with math. Anybody who knows the exact number, if for the year you're only celebrating one out of 7 days of the year, is this really a life that you want to live? You're not happy. There's something clearly missing there. So be careful saying you hate Mondays, right? Turn your Mondays to a day that you look forward to, the day that challenge you, the day for you to become your better self. So as far as watch your words, the realization, the things that you say to yourself is programming. Change your mindset. You start to believe what you say, right? You start to believe what you say. What you constantly say is what you're programming your body and mind to do so. Let's shout out Nels, 14%. I know she's the little, not little, big, big accountant girl. She knows all the numbers. Y'all check her out. TSK Wealth?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. But yes, thanks for the numbers. But if you only live in life for only 14% of it, I think I'm good with the math now. Well, what are you going to do with the other 86%? That's a bad deal.
And let's get to you. You talked about our thoughts. So I want to say, when you realize the power of your thoughts, you won't just entertain anything. And what I've realized, and I'm talking from my personal life, it took me a very long time to actually understand that what I do, what I intake, whether it's the book I read or what I watch or who I listen to or the things and daily habits I do, that I won't just entertain things. And this is somebody, I'm 29, about to turn 30 in a couple weeks, and it took me a very, very long time. And that's because sometimes, like me, I was just like at life and I got caught up in the aspect of what I was doing and who I was becoming. So I had a lot to learn. Like, I didn't have like an older brother or something. I was just learning from my mistakes. And Nels, yeah, go ahead and ask that question as well too. But how important is realizing the power of your thoughts so that you just don't entertain anything?
Well, it's controlling your mind. You control your mind, you control everything, right? The world is what we make of it, right? It's our perception, right? It's our perception controls our sensation. It goes hand in hand. The things that we see and how we perceive it to be, right? That's what I think it is. So as far as our mind is programmed, we tend to. There's so many ways. Like, when things go wrong, like, we tend to blame others when things are going wrong, but we don't often ask why. I seen this the other day. Is like, if somebody haven't reached out to you, don't feel like you're dissing. Maybe you need to go find out if they're going through a hard time, right? Just check in. It's okay. It's not so much to get defensive when things go wrong, but rather try to figure it out, right? Turn your frustration into fascination. Don't ask what, ask why and how, right? The question and how we look at things, right? We have a question here.
Yeah, I'll read it out loud. The question is, what's the first step to take when you realize something and want to change it?
I think that for you to you when you that question in itself answer the first step as far as awareness, realization is awareness, right? Right. You gotta and accept it. Accept wherever it is where you are, the condition that you're in, right? That's what I say the first step. Awareness and accepting, right? You're aware of something, but don't deny it. Don't tell your mind you don't need to fix this. Because the thing that you're running away from, that's what you need to face. Right? You need to turn your back towards that dragon, towards that fire that it is you're running away from, right? So realization, hand in hand with awareness and accepting it, right? Awareness, thank you. Awareness and accepting is the only way, right? If things haven't been going wrong, it's okay to look at yourself and say, here's where I am, here's where, excuse me for my language, here's where I fucked up, and these are the things that I need to do, right? That's the only way. Those are the first steps. Because until you have accepted, you're in denial. You're not going to commit your very all. You're not going to take the necessary second steps for it is to go where it is you want to do. Nobody can force you to do anything unless you're willing to do it yourself. So it's awareness and acceptance. That's what I'll say the first step is. If you're broke, admit to yourself that you're broke. And I don't say you're broke. You're just overcoming a cash flow problem, right? If you're not healthy, it's okay to say I'm not healthy. I'm going to change my life for the better, right? Don't lie to yourself. Don't delude your mind, right? Because your mind is going to act accordingly. If you haven't accepted it to know that this is the change that you're heading towards to, your mind is going to start making all kinds of excuses why you don't have to do what it is that you said you're going to do. So awareness and acceptance.
Nels, let us know. You know how we feel when it comes to questions. Let us know with a thumbs up. Oh, there we go. She gave you the gold. The gold. We got the Olympic gold right there. There we go. We've upgraded from the thumbs up to the medals. I like that. Now, another thing that you talked about, sometimes people get caught up in the feelings towards others, whether it be like a family, a relative, a loved one, a spouse. And that's how sometimes they can get caught up into like knowing what they need to do, but that love or that feeling of whatever it is holding them onto doing what advice would we have, like what advice would we give to those people where it's like, realizing it's you at the end of the day? Because sometimes there's people who in life they're just so nice that they're gonna do what's best for others as well too.
Learn to put
In
yourself
regards,
first. Last night's jam was about self care and self love. Oh, you can't pour for an empty cup, right? Like I said earlier in the live, I think was the first part. Is often the loved ones that we're trying to prove things to don't meet you where, don't meet you there. They just want to see you successful, and it doesn't matter what it is. Somebody that truly cares about you want to see you happy. It doesn't matter what it is that you're doing. They might feel like this is what I believe may work best for you, but they don't know. They don't know your life, right? So as far as anything else, do what works best for you. Don't meet you there.
now when it comes to realization, there's another quote I want to bring up and ask you as well too. It says, once you realize the power of your presence, you won't be just anywhere. And I feel like we live in a society right now where people always want to be accepted and always want to be places. And it's like, you'll go somewhere where you're not, you want to be somewhere where you're not even invited, and you don't even realize that you weren't invited for a reason. And it could be a good thing, right? Like you cannot be invited somewhere because you could steal the presence or the moment, or just because those aren't your people. But it takes some people a long time to realize that, like, where you're not wanted, you don't need to be, and you don't need to care or be accepted by others or what society seems like is the cool people or etc.
You're a unique individual. You're a quiet taste. Don't be out here sampling yourself for everybody. It's okay if everybody don't want you around. They can't afford you. You're in the top shelf in the glass. They need the manager to get you out, right? Your unique taste, right? Start believing in your uniqueness. Start believing that you're something that more than what anybody else tells you that you are.
And do we feel like social media and just the pressure of society has played a major role in that, especially in this age?
Major, major, major. Social media was the greatest thing, but it's very harmful. Human beings have this thing, let's kick the can down on the road. The things that we love most is hurting us most. Social media there was a stat just when social media started to, I think you guys should check it out. I forgot a documentary. I'm terrible. My memory is so bad. Am I getting old? There's But just as they found that social media started to explode early 2000s, they seen suicide rates, suicide attempts with young teenagers rise. Right, we have these filters. People not loving themselves, not seeing themselves more than they are, and then it's like we have access to the world, which people thought it was an advantage, but it also let people feel more insecure because before you were just worried about your neighbor, you're just worried about people in your school, but now you go on social media, you're competing with 7 billion other people. So it's doing more harm than good than I believe, but some people are making the most of it, i.e., like ourselves, as able to use IG and these platforms to share knowledge, to give out gems. There should be more information like this out there. Thank you. Watch my words. I'm not getting old, right? I just need to refine my memory. I need some tea. That's what it is. I watch too much documentaries and read too much books. Sometimes it's hard to recall some of these studies. Difficult to retrieve, but I know what I'm talking about. Give me a sec here.
There we go. Shout out my guy Khalil.
Yes, sir. Appreciate that. But as I was saying, is doing more harm to those people who are unaware, their awareness and accepting of what it is, right? Too much of it. What is it that you're using it for, right? Like I said, it gives us access to the world. We're able to talk all over the world. People 20 years ago weren't able to do what it is that we're doing. But like at the same time, we gotta realize that the harm that it's doing for others.
Well done, and shout out. I want to give a big shout out to my guy Khalil too. He has a book coming out. I don't know if it's out yet. I don't think it's out yet as well too. But that's one of my C Toronto alumni brothers. C Toronto is a center for young black entrepreneurs. They're doing a lot of great things too. So if anybody's looking for some programs, they have a kitchen masters program. They have a business program, a master's class, and a tech program. So I encourage everybody to go check out C Toronto And Khalil, let us know if that book is out too and where people can go find that is out as well too. A lot of Toronto, we breed a lot of a lot of young hustlers and a lot of great people who are doing great things all over the world. Like I've been in LA for a couple of days, and you'll be shocked to know the Toronto community that is out here doing a lot of great things. My boy Jermaine Prime just had a pop-up shop, and it was at that moment where I was like, yo, this is crazy. Like a lot of us have started local and we've been able to go global, but it's all in the acts of our, not even the acts, in the ways of our actions that got us towards here. And whenever you talk to these people, they realize like the job is never done. It's almost out. Called Change Starts in the Mind, How to Create the Mindset of Success. All right, so our last topic of the day before we need to get out of here is do your best today. And this one is simple and short, right? It's like it says do your best today. I think we get caught up sometime tomorrow and what the future holds, and we don't see the beauty in today. So I want to get some insight from you, and then
Well, do your best today. People are gonna often, what is your best, right? The best is all you could do is your very best. What I mean, I know you're not supposed to explain a word with an explanation, but if you could get up right now, right? If you could get up right now and only run for 5 minutes, well, push yourself for 5 minutes, 10 seconds. That's your very best. You're better than who you were yesterday. Your best is not measured by other people. Your best, you don't have to write a book today to say that's my best. You don't have to compete with others people, right? It's about getting started. You don't have to end up in the exact same place somebody else is. Your best is what are you capable of doing in this very moment, and then tomorrow push yourself a bit more. That's what we mean by the 1%. And eventually there's growth, right? If you stay consistent, if you stay committed, eventually there's growth. So doing your best is a measure between who you were yesterday and who you're gonna be tomorrow. And in between is who you are today. That's your best. It's not what about what Max is doing. It's not what about what Ebon is doing, right? If you want to be an MC, it's not about Ebon being in LA, right? If you want to share a message, it's not about waking up and jumping on YouTube Live and having everything right at the moment. It's your very best. If it just means coming up with the game plan, right? Let's remember this. Your best is only compared from who you were yesterday, who are you going to be tomorrow, and it starts with who you are today. That's your best. Those are the only measurables that when we talk about self, you should be measured at.
And with that being said, I think there's no more to say after that, man. I think there's a lot of gems, and I can see in the comments on both from the YouTube live and from our IG live that's going on that it's do what's best for you, and make sure you take action upon yourself if you want to see greatness in life. And today was a beautiful day. So if you're just joining us, we were talking about our topics today. We talked about the most committed wins, the power of realization, and do your best today. And this episode will be available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Shout out to everybody from the YouTube Live. I see a lot of mentions in my notifications. So a lot of people, we're gradually getting to the change. And we had a little technical difficulties today, but
like
it's part
always,
of the game.
perfection,
We'll
right? This is doing your very best, right? Perfection equals paralysis. You got to know you find out quicker, right? Accept it for where it is, right? Nobody's going to come out. It just shows the progression of who you are. You start to appreciate your wins more, right? You start to appreciate your wins more when you actually know where you came from, right? That's what it's all
100%.
about. Thank you guys for tuning in.
As well.
Yes, go ahead, finish that.
Yeah, I was gonna say shout out to Whitney. She just tuned in. She did a cake yesterday for Little Dirk, and I was so happy because she's been doing cakes for almost like 15 years. So and this is one of her biggest wins. Her first cake she ever made in the States, and that just shows you 15 years of making cakes and finally hitting a big milestone, making a cake for who's arguably the best artist in the game right now. They flew her out to Atlanta, so kudos to you. And you guys check her out, and she talks about that journey as well too. But that wraps us up today. Shout out to everybody. More blessings. Have a great day and a positive Monday.
Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week.
Thank you, but it's called Motivation Mondays podcast. Yeah.